Ah! Fucking kind of on time. Ugh. Oh, fucking hell. Ugh. Okay, sorry. Fucking hell. Ugh. Oh, bloody. What's it? Reason. Oh, I'm out of breath. I was going to close the living room door and I bloody rushed back. But the, what's it? This discussion is coming into, what's it? The thing I did yesterday morning, about an hour after I'd done this, sort of around the similar time. It was like 6:30. I was in the middle of the woods. I was with my mate who's on the streets. What's it? Pop down and see him in the middle of the woods every now and then. Caleb Marpin. You're talking about something Caleb Marpin said, where he basically did a whataboutism on ethnocentral states, and without answering the question at all, it was given to him, and without doing any clarification, no criticism on the type of questions being given. He just allowed it to pass on and moved on to the point of Maoism. Unfortunately, I only centered my criticism on the Eurocentrism, on the ethnocentrism comments, and not talking about the Maoism comments. I'll probably talk about the Maoism comments later on in this, but don't be surprised if I forget again. I mean, what's it? And the reason why I'm taking time as well to have to clarify initially on the other points is that I guess it must have been confusing. Maybe it wasn't. He did delete his comment straight after, but I do have a funky Caleb comment for you to see. We can't see all of it. I didn't get to see all of it myself because by the time I come to see it, he deleted it. But this is a nice little funky one. Share screen. Yes, I am very prepared. Window, snip and sketch, share. He commented that I think you should watch the clip again. I tried to answer an incoherent question. You guys aren't Marxists. You are thinking about ethno-states and settlers and blah, 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 blah. I mean, we've got to think about those things because they exist, Caleb. Like the US, Israel, and other places like that. They exist. The American supercontinent exists. These are settler locations. It's fucking covered in Europeans. This is settlerism. This is something we have to speak about. We can't just ignore what is going on and what has gone on. But I mean, what's it? What I'm gonna do is we're gonna watch the clip, and I'm gonna break it down as to why the way he dealt with that question is still problematic, even if it wasn't him who initially pointed towards those things. We'll have a nice bit of enjoyment on this one. Let me clear. No, that's the stream. That's my YouTube channel. There we go. Live 294. Okay then, so start screen, share screen, window. When will the overgrown leprechaun give me his pot of gold and turn me into a billionaire? I don't know, but what's it? I really wonder, you know, when he is going to fully explain what a socialist billionaire truly is, how someone could be both a billionaire but also a revolutionary communist. Because it's a very big drasticity I'm seeing between those two things. But here we go. We've got the Caleb clip. Yeah. Let's get it right to the point of the question.
Would an ethnocentric nation be socialist internally, but oppose Maoists. What? 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 I don't even know. That, first of all, what's an ethnocentric nation? I mean, is the United States an ethnocentric nation because of white privilege?
You see what I mean? So his point number one, where he goes, is an ethnocentric nation because of white privilege. That is an understatement of history. It's an ethnocentric nation because of white privilege. No, it's an ethnocentric nation because of settler colonialism and slavery. White privilege is an utter understatement of history. And he continues on to then relate it to France and then Israel. It's like, as if this needs to be the questionability. An ethnocentric nation is a nation built around the ethnicity, not just somewhere that's in a location that has a certain ethnicity. It is a specific type of nation centered around the absolute power of one race over everything else. But we'll continue on. Here we go.
I mean, is that what you're getting at? I mean, is France an ethnocentric nation because it's historically white people? Is Israel, an ethnocentric nation since there's
Yes.
one religious ethno group that it is their state? I mean, I don't know what you're getting at there. And could it be socialist internally but oppose Maoists? I don't know. I mean, it's very and they're just
And I fucking lost the position like a fucking gimp. 136.
what is privilege? I mean, it's getting at white people, it's ethno group that
Okay, so I'm back at the point. The problem I have is that he then goes, he just does a whataboutism. What is it? Is it this? Is it that? Is it this? And then he just moves on to the next point of question. No criticism on the issues of ethno-nationalism or ethnocentrism or just ethno-states in general. He just moves on and then goes on about Maoism. And he's trying to come out and say that, oh, I was dealing with a confusing question and all that. All you've done is just then whataboutized it. You've not gone, okay, well, this is a confusing question. Why are you promoting ethnostates? Ethnostates are a problem. The US you could see as an ethnostate, and that is problematic, X, Y, and Z. You could be perceiving France as it, and France has this problems, X, Y, and Z, and then Israel. He's not explained a point. He's not come at all of them and explained where they could be wrong because of that and made an argument. He's used the fact that he can abuse whataboutism to avoid making an argument surrounding something that he either agrees with or disagrees with, but we don't know if he doesn't make the point. So at the end of the day, you come in at this, and you come in and looking at this. As far as I come in and look at this, he's gone and absolutely ignored ethnocentrism to then talk about Maoism, and he likes to go in on the fucking Maoists, as we all might be aware, which we will get to in a bit. But I mean, it comes into like Caleb's mentality as well. He probably thinks that, oh wow, this is just another third worldist who's attacking me, as if I've got some like hate boner for him. I've fucking known about you for a very, very long time, Caleb. I've been mates with fucking Jason for a little while. That was like 2.5 years now. I know who you are. I used to have respect for you. I mean, I even have somewhat prepared for this part of the discussion, because there was a Caleb that I really, really did like. I'll get him up for you. You know, whatever happened to this Caleb? I like this Caleb. Anyone know? Because now he looks like a fucking tosser in his monkey suit with his chipped up hair. Like, what the fuck happened to this Caleb? Fucking, what's it? He can have my left kidney if he brings this Caleb back. Like, radical, dressed like a geezer, not like a fucking, like a CIA agent. Doesn't give a fuck about fucking where he needs to go and where he needs to get. He's gonna have his fucking hair and the way he looks, the way he is. This looks like someone I could more get involved with. Someone who ain't bothered about dressing like he is. I know he is an aristocrat. I'm not giving him any to fold on that. But That would make him one of the, he's coming across like a dodgy at best type, not like most of the aristocracy, that they're just absolute enemies. He's trying there, is my point. And I have another one as well. It's, it fucking doesn't like to switch very well. No, not a video file. Fucking StreamYard. There's, this one too. Once again, Caleb, when I could have respect for him, mopping before LinkedIn. I mean, what's it? Bring back leather jacket mopping. Needs to be what's it? Needs to be the new hashtag mopping. No life till leather. Oh, Metallica fans will get it. But the it's not like I'm coming at it. It's like I hate mopping and I think he should be fucking down. No, I hate what he is. I don't fucking have some hate boner against the person. I'm sure he's a lovely person at dinner parties, but whatever the fuck he is, I ain't for it. We're supposed to be fucking lighter. Why doesn't anything work? 1 second. This is the sound to me returning to matches. I'm lighting candles to get the noodles sexy. Nearly blew the candle up, blowing the match out. Intelligent. I have some of it somewhere. And apparently this thing doesn't work. Okay. So, in a few years' time, we'll probably need to send a resume over, cover letter, job references, and provide a LinkedIn to apply to join the CPI. Have you been a hot enough worker to be a part of this group? If you're one of them lumpen proletarians that Lenin said is the big no-no, then you cannot join. I mean, fuck. What's it? I mean, I was dealing with one of his little followers trying to turn around and say that the police should fucking deal with the lumpen because it's less, quote, enemies of the revolution to deal with. Bitch, please. In America, especially, more than anywhere, lumpen have been the fucking strongest fucking pushers of revolt. Who were the ones pushing for prison reforms in America? Not just lumpen people, it was mostly the people in the prisons themselves. But I mean, it comes down to this. He goes from being this very outspoken, loud geezer. He's unmatched on Wall Street. He's giving his voice out loud and clear. He looks like one of us with the way he's dressed in, like, dressed in his leather jackets. He's got all his hair on, like if you were anyone who is, familiar with the working class thrash metal scene of the 80s, they would know, what that look is envisioning. And now, fucking, my man's just some suit and booter with his fucking fancy tie. And fuck me, sure, suits can be nice. Do you know what's more comfortable than suits, Caleb? A military uniform. I've got my old training corps uniform for the RAF somewhere, from the Air Training Corps. That's a very comfortable piece of clothes. Not something I go around wearing all the time. I kind of end up looking like a dickhead in it. Not as much as you look like a dickhead in your suit, by the way, but dickhead nonetheless. dressing up like you're in a like you're a fucking monkey, your little monkey suit, go to your fucking what's it, your little business parades and whatever the fuck businessmen fucking do. Fun for you, but there's there's um there's a reason why lower class people tend to call suits monkey suits, because they just don't feel like they're meant for people. They're meant for people. It seems like they're meant for fucking obelisks. But nada. Let's get on to his point of Maoists, because I feel like I've covered the ethnocentric stuff. If I haven't, someone shout at me enough in the comments before this is over and I'll get back to it.
Communists in India.
Caleb, you are one person and you are in an ethnocentric nation. Like, what are you implying by I am not an ethnocentric nation? Like, what is the implication? Are you implying American nation of peoples? Because America has never been a solidified nation. America is a conglomerate. Like, if we're talking on nations of people, it's not a conglomeration of a single nation of people. It's the white nation of Europeans conglomerated, oppressing the black nation and the native nations. And always remember, it's plural. There's not one native nation. There is plenty of them. They're not just one people. It's the native peoples. There's loads of native groups. And to homogenize them is a genocidal fucking use of language. You're reducing them to one group. It is many, many groups. But, you know, I just want to know what the implications of his referring himself to a nation. Maybe it's just a blunder in his language. We all do it, but, you know, it's a live stream. I'm not the best spoken of people. He speaks much better than I can, I'll tell you that. I'd like substantiation on that. Like, most communists in India hate the Naxals in India. I mean, like, what communists, what parties, what groups, and the Naxals aren't the only Maoists in India. This is like Strawmanius Maximus. Like, please elaborate, Caleb, because that's going into very very big territory where you have loads and loads of communist parties, and as comrades of mine have told me, you know, those who are engaged with comrades from India, and even comrades from India myself, who have told me bad things about the Naxals, good things about the Naxals. I've also been told many bad things about all these separate different communist parties that may not be what they seem. Been told good things about others. It flips and flows. India is not a country we have a clear message on. If you give just unclear messages, you are not actually aiding in any discussion about that specific area and that specific group. You are murkying it up. We can't have passive discussion on India because it's not a passive situation. It is a hostile situation with a war going on within all these within the struggle. The revolution has been going on since 1973, carried on by many different groups. You know, it it it's been through its bells and fucking it's been through bells and whistles of so many different chimes. For you to even just say, oh well, all the most of the communists in India oppose the Naxals, that's like fucking you know, what would be a good analogy for it? I don't even know how to think of an analogy for it, because it's hard to analogize into something that's just straight up. What's it? Would it be gaslighting? You're essentially taking what could be a position that comes from stable groups that we could name, that could say that yes, these oppose these people and for why, and turning it into a most of just hate this specific. You need to have some form of clarification, because for someone like myself, it's just going over my head. I don't understand what the fuck you're. As far as I'm concerned, you are just using implicative means to say that the fucking Naxals aren't worth considering, which, like I say, I hear good and bad things from either end of the shtick. Please elaborate.
The Shining Path in Peru, the overwhelming majority of communists in Peru oppose the Shining Path.
Well, that's not actually true either. Like, there are multiple parties in Peru, don't get me wrong, but the Shining Path has still a very large following and is still massively supported. To come out and say that most communists in Peru hate the Shining Path would be ignorant of the fact that the Shining Path is still in struggle right now. I hate Gonzo Man just as much as many other people do, but Gonzo, you know, that Spaniard is the only motherfucker in that struggle. Actually, most of the people in that struggle end up being natives. But, you know, everyone would just want to fucking attack the Shining Path all the fucking time without any clear fucking criticism. It's all just what Gonzalo was. Well, Gonzalo and the other elements of the party that were just like Gonzalo is one aspect of the Shining Path. They were not just a very large party, but because of Gonzalo's what would we say irresponsibilities, a lot of the Shining Path was cut off from each other and did their own operations. There is much more to be learnt from that, because not all areas of the Shining Path were as shitty as some. Actually, you could argue most areas of the Shining Path weren't shitty as some. It's just one of those elements where it shows how a few dominoes can knock over the rest. But that's not the discussion. That needs to be a further discussion in and of itself. Just really to point in that to come in and try and shit on the Shining Path in a blanket statement, to try and shit on the Indian Maoists in a blanket statement, rather than going into an explanation as to why Maoism is bad, I can't see, you know, what is the point in even trying to express a situation in this? Like, you've taken a question that was a bad question, and rather than saying ethnocentrism is wrong and Maoism is wrong, because those are your beliefs, because I'm sure you believe ethnocentrism is wrong, Caleb, you then did a whataboutism about both of them. You didn't answer the questions.
But it just means people that are inspired by Mao. There you go. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you're getting at there, right? This is a strange question. Very, very strange question. That's okay. I generally tend to answer people's questions. All right. What is the difference between corporatism and neoliberalism? Well,
See, he actually does a really good bit here where he talks about corporatism and neoliberalism. It's all right. It's all right. But, you know, did anyone hear the sound of the rod inserting into his ass when he said, I tend to answer people's questions? I'm only joking with you, Caleb. Don't worry about it. But I mean, what's it? You get a question that's bad. You should answer why the question is bad. Why, you know, an ethnocentric state shouldn't exist, period. Not what is an ethnocentric state. Because all you're doing is muddying the waters up more. You know, when fuck me, if there's a fucking horrible current that's dragging people into a fucking shit sense of feeling, your mentality shouldn't be to drag the waters some more. Your mentality should be to stop the current where it stands and explain the situation. You should be explaining what ethnocentricity is and why it's wrong. And because you believe Maoism is wrong, you should be explaining what Maoism is and why it is wrong. These are supposed to be long-wind talk discussions, Caleb. You know, Tuesday night chat with Caleb. Take the time to have an expensive discussion. Or if the expensive discussion is too long, you can turn around and say, well, you know, right now not really the opportune time to speak of it, but we could speak of this in a larger discussion, whilst you also, in that point, give a small dissertation as to your disagreements with ethnocentricity, but your agreements that we should be opposed to Maoism. And then you can say that you will express deeper in a video talking about these issues. So you can go many different ways about this, or just not answer the question. Instead, what you've done is you've decided to answer a question by not answering the question. You answered it with whataboutisms. So, really, Caleb, you know, when you come at it as well with the big funny, and you come and do a comment on a video that has like what 20 views, and tell me off for not listening. You could at least leave your comment, Caleb, and stick by the words you've said. Like, it's not the hardest thing to do. I'm not gonna bite. Well, I might, but only for kinky reasons. The point is, Caleb, you can more than openly open this discourse up. If you really, really want to talk about this, you have my reciprocity. I'll be respectful. I'll hear you out. I'll put your positions out because, to be honest, Caleb, I just as much as I'm one of your largest critics, and I have been one of your largest critics, and I've talked to Jason for a very long time about how troublesome you could be, but how possibly great you could have been at the same time if you had your fucking head screwed on the right fucking way around. I would certainly love you to be on the right side of this position. I'd like you to be on the right side of this argument. I'd happily engage with you if you really want the debate. And I mean verbal, none of this text chat bollocks. We speak about it, we stream about it, we discuss about it. We allow interaction from the fucking crowd and see what they have to say. You can be the controller of that if you really fucking want to. Just, the door is open, Kulab. We can have the discussion. But be mindful that regardless of how you go about this, if your position is staying the same and you're sticking up for the socialist patriotism, we are going to be criticizing you. And that does mean we are going to say stuff that puts your position on the back burner as something that is reactionary, and we are going to criticize it as such. You could engage with that in debate and prove it isn't, or explain why we've got you wrong, and we can discuss about this, or this can just be the shit fling you want it to be. We put a dissertation out, and then essentially we forget about you until you become relevant enough to us to give a shit anymore, because we've got more important things really to talk about. You know, the fact that you've managed to take attention is just because of how much trouble that you've caused in the meanwhile enough that it has been idiotic that we have kept a relationship with you in any means necessary. And the fact that Jason has been mates with you for so long was just a poignance of Jason's respect. He's disagreed with you the whole fucking time. For you to get pissy about it because he's come out now, after he's given you the respect for you to engage in on your position, but every time he's asked you to debate on it and speak on it, you have ignored him, and then you're going to be a little bitch because he's come out of it. That really fucking shows the absolute bonkers mentality that you're throwing us down with. But like I say, the option for us to speak is up front, and you can end the discussion instantaneously if I stop being an asshole. We'll have a discussion, and I'll try not to shout. I struggle with that because of my disability, but I'll try not to shout. But so long as I'm not an asshole, the discussion goes on, and we can talk about it. It'd be beautiful. It'd be like the Addams family, but from abroad. You know, it'd be like an American-British relationship discussion. Like, you know, we can really explain how long-distance relationships are such a difficult thing to handle. But what's it? But you know, regardless how this is framed, America is a settler state. It is an ethnocentric, ethno-nationalist state. It's an apartheid state. And there's no removing that from America. America is that. The only way you're going to get rid of that is to decolonize America. You put the natives in control of their land. They have the political leadership. They have the political ownership. They have the rightful control, and that's how you deal with it. And then they choose wog1 with that. They choose who gets to stay, who gets to go. They choose where the borders are laid between themselves. They get to decide how they're handling the situation that you white people, not the natives, not the African Americans, you white people put African Americans in. You, with the slavery. We, essentially, if I'm to really pluralize it, because it comes to Europe, you know, Britain, France, Spain, we filled America with slaves, dragged them across the world. It was the first place we would go with our boats after they left Africa. They go from Europe to Africa to America, back to Europe. Transatlantic slave route. You know, so it's up to the Indians. It's up to the fucking natives, and the the African Americans on that discussion. They choose that between, you know, that's their discussion, and that's going to be, you know, something they deal with. We don't deal with that, because I've been having those people call African American people just well, they're settlers too, as if they're on like the same platter as white folk are. It's like, I mean, yeah, if you really want to muddy the waters on the definition, sure, they come from foreign lands, but they didn't fucking choose to. They didn't fucking like, they didn't hop on the boats to strap themselves in with the shackles that no one could have possibly strapped on themselves to the bottom of that boat in hundreds together and go, take me to be your servants. No, they were dragged, beaten, whipped, sold, shot, murdered. You know, all sorts of loads of different fucking in-betweens and in-outs and others have happened for them to get there. They were tied to the bottom of boats and dragged across the world. And what, you're going to try and put them on the same platter as people who moved over with the wealth that they had? Because if you want to look up as to what happened to poorer folk that tried to get up to us, to America, look up what happened to the Irish folk that tried to escape to get to America, the poor Irish folk that tried to get away from Britain and that died at sea. You know, the loss of families clutching onto their kids as they arrived ashore with dead parents, being orphaned. Seriously, like, you really think that the white Americans can be put on the same platitude as the black Americans? You're having a laugh. Completely different situation. And so we do need to be going on about settlers. We do need to be going on about the fact that ethnostates exist in the world. We're not thinking about them. We're talking about this shit, Caleb, because it needs to be talked about. And you know, and I really want to know what the fuck comes after "and all kinds," because this shit is cut off from here. Doesn't tell me. So what's it? To anyone who's real good buddies with Caleb out there, can someone tell him to regrow his testicles and repost his comment and stop being such a bitch about it, at the least? Or what's it, when they come back, tell them to grow some hair on them too, and come and speak to me. I mean, he has the time and effort to come and comment on my shit, and, you know, feels me worthwhile blocking on his Twitter. Why doesn't he come and speak to me, Mr. fucking big man leader of the CPI? If the third world is such an important thing for him to talk about, Mr. Big Man leader of the Mr. Big Man leader of the CPI can talk about one of the key members of MRN. I am in a position of relations. I do a lot of relations when it comes to dealing with those that are in struggle. I engaging with the Fertile Crescent is one of the things that I've taken over of. Oh, CEO of CPI trademark. Fucking hell, man. Brilliant. CEO of the CPI TM. Well, what's it? I'm sure he would love to speak with me. I engage in, what's it? I engage in communications for MRN, and I engage in sort of, you know, how would you word it? I guess security operations, making sure everything's streamlined within the organization. Keep making sure that we're online. On on our political line. Fucking hell, since the invention of the internet, fucking words have been difficult to use. That we are correct on our line. That's so that we are sticking to what we need to do, and that we are continuing to push our work of interconnections between the first world lumpen proletarian struggle and the third world struggle for anti-imperialism. So, I'm not just some bozo. I'm not just some dickhead. Or what is it you guys like to use in the mopping camp? Bizo or whatever it means. White leftist apparently or something. I don't know. Not just some bizo. I'm a lumpen guy in MRN. We can have a talk. I won't use too much of the scary slang if you want. I'll try and speak in an understandable way. I know how you aristocrats get lost because you don't know epistemology in any way, shape, or form. Nice little sneaky way to do a little bit of shout out towards something that's skeptical mantis. He spells it the American way with a K. So if you're looking for him, don't forget to spell skeptical wrong. Who talks about street epistemology, which is a very important thing that we need when it comes to engaging with another. People have street epistemology. They know how to engage with the lumpen. They were engaging in street epistemology. They were going on the streets. They were learning from the people how we speak, how we operate, and how we engage, how we discuss, how to deal with us in a respectful and actually understand what we want rather than put the words in our mouths. You wouldn't have to deal with that legal, but I understand that epistemology is a lot to ask for the aristocracy. So I'll try and speak in a way you can understand, Muppet, and we can have a heart to heart. Unless the lower class scares you, or whatever you think I am supposed to be, because apparently I don't understand what the lumpen proletariat is. So please just define to me the disenfranchised working class in a more understandable way than Caleb if I am absolutely incorrect. Bless upon me your knowledge. And at the point of that, I guess that's the end of this discussion. I fucking threw my joint across the room. Good night. Well, it's actually a good day because it's day here, but they're Yankees. Good night.